John Bercow's the ref of the Commons and not afraid to threaten a red card from time to time. But after being on the receiving end of some unkind remarks about his stature, he says it's wrong for people to play the man, not the ball.
Whereas nobody these days would regard it as acceptable to criticise someone on grounds of race or creed or disability or sexual orientation, somehow it seems acceptable to comment on someone's height or lack of it.
Mr. Bercow was an athlete in his youth, an outstanding tennis player, a prospective Greg Rosetsky. He says he was never bothered about being short, but finds the jibes intellectually substandard and schoolboyish.
My first reaction when I saw this comment was, it's just typical Bercow. He's trying to get publicity for himself and trying to make himself a victim. It's total rubbish. What a dreadful speaker he is. However, I think you've got to bear in mind that the smallness of a politician or of a public figure can become very interesting. If you've got someone like President Sarkozy of France standing there, he was a tiny little fellow, and he had special high heels. He was somehow a more interesting figure because of his very smallness. Speaker Bercow is a short chap, and to see him surrounded by the vast panoply of the chair makes him a more theatrical personality, and this lends him some of his political power.
Let's leave personalities out of this for a moment and feature some interesting facts about height. It seems men of 5'4" or less can live for up to 2 years longer than taller contemporaries. But taller people may be more intelligent, thanks to mum and dad. Apparently clever people tend to seek tall partners. And they may earn more, perhaps because some bosses link height to status.
Height traditionally has been seen as a masculine trait, so to be a tall man is to be seen traditionally as a more masculine man. So I think perhaps by drawing attention to someone's short stature, in a man particularly, that would be seen as an insult.
There's no comfort for Ted in a bus or in a train. Well, his head catches in the luggage rack.
But it isn't all upside for the big boys, as Ted Evans could tell you. He was England's tallest man at 7'8½". Great height can also lead to cruel or thoughtless remarks. After extensive research at the next set of desks, we found the BBC's own Hugh Pym, all 6'7" of him.
Most people, if they do spot me, say, "Do you want a game at centre-half, big man?" Or "What's the weather like up there?" It's the height, and I do feel, and in fact other tall people feel the same, that it's a bit of a liberty, isn't it, walking up, making a comment about someone being tall when they wouldn't necessarily, in fact, rarely